Okay, now osteoporosis. This is really important because how many people here have bones? Everybody. Okay, now this is my favorite group. Okay, if anyone wants to take up bodybuilding, you can join this group, but you got to be a minimum of 75 years old. I got 23 years left, and baby, I'm going to be there. Now, when we look at this, you see different. I mean, this is the typical thing. When you start thinking of broken bones, of osteoporosis, of thinning of bones, is this the picture that you have in your mind? Yeah. Well, what's frustrating is you're going to find out that this is absolutely not necessary. It's abhorrent. Osteoporosis doesn't exist in Aboriginal cultures, so why is it so popular in ours? Well, we got to look at the structure. Now, next week we're going to talk about arthritis reversal. In fact, all the month of January, we're going to talk about joints, how to reverse arthritis. Wait, did I say treat arthritis or reverse it? Reverse it. Good, good. I know I spoke correctly. Okay, yeah, reverse arthritis. Okay, so if you look at this, these joints in your body are only about 6 to 9 months old. How old are your bones? About 6 to 9 months old. Okay, so joints, bones, it's a very dynamic structure. In fact, there are cells that live on bones that lay down bones, cells that tear it up. So we have to understand how they work or how they deteriorate. So when we look at this, you got an amazing, now this is an example of the spine. And you'll see, this is the front part of the vertebrae, this is the back part, the nerves that come out of the middle. Now these nerves control and coordinate every function of the body. Every function, not a little bit, every function. Now the problem is, see this area in here in between, that's a bone, the area in between, that's called a disc. Now the disc is 70% fluid. So what happens is, if you get incorrect motion that causes that bone to come down on the nerve. And the nerve, if the nerve gets crushed, this means your body can't control itself. So that would be bad, right? Okay, so what happens is, people tend to open up that back area where the joints are, okay, where the nerves are. So people stand like this because it's comfortable. Anyone that's standing like this means that the bone is coming down on top of that nerve, that there's not a correct motion, there's not correct fluid going to the joint, so that joint's getting smaller. You know how they say, oh, I'm getting smaller as I age? No, you don't. What happens is the fluid gets out, gravity starts taking its toll. But those guys 75 years old, they're the same. So what keeps bones healthy is movement and nutrients. Movement and nutrients, that's it. I mean, the structure is amazing. If you look at your human body, you balance strength and flexibility. Okay, armor didn't last. Too strong, not very flexible. Okay, that didn't work really well. But the skeletal structure, and if you look at the central nervous system, it's the only structure encased in solid bone from the top all the way down to the bottom. So you have this balance of very, very flexible, but still strong enough to protect the nervous system that controls and coordinates every system. Now, have you ever heard of neuropathy? Okay, well, the way doctors speak, we use a lot of Latin terms so we sound smarter. Okay, all I just said was nerve problem. If I said, have you ever heard of nerve problem? You'd say, well, that sounds kind of stupid. Okay, no, I'm just saying it in English. See, neuropathy, it means neuro is nerve, pathy is problem. If any of these joints come down on top of that nerve, you don't feel it where it gets compressed. You feel it where it supplies. So like if someone comes in there and say, yeah, my sciatic is killing me. The sciatic nerve is giant. It's about the diameter of your finger, and it goes right down the back of the leg. It has 5 nerve roots that come out of the low back. So if you have butt pain or leg pain or foot pain from that sciatic nerve, I don't care what you do to the leg. Nothing's going to work until you fix where the source of it is. Have you ever heard of carpal tunnel syndrome? Okay, pain, numbness, tingling in the hand. And even surgeons are completely ignorant of this. Okay, we got even 2 choices. They're either ignorant or evil. Okay, I'm going with ignorant. Okay, because they'll operate on carpal tunnel syndrome, and 85% of the time they got to do it in the other hand. And what do they say? They say it's multiple use or repetitive motion injury. It's not. If you look at every orthopedic text, all the nerves that supply the arm come out of the neck. Carpal tunnel syndrome is a double crush injury, begins in the neck. Okay, and this has to do with the health of the joints and health of the bones. Now, this is not photoshopped. She's 85 years old. Okay, she used to teach yoga on TV. She now is currently in yoga. Now, do you think her joints and bones are healthy? Yeah, she uses them. She uses them. Okay, now you can take both of these hands, put this one in a cast, within 6 weeks do a bone density, and within 6 weeks this thing will lose about 50% of its bone. Okay, 50% of its bone density. You take an astronaut, super healthy specimen of a human being, put him in space, 6 months later, have him do a jumping jack, his legs break. So what happens is, this type of body posture where people stand normal and they slowly bend over, what are they doing? I want you to look at this totally different. When you start to see someone, you don't say, oh, they're old. Bull, she's older. Okay, she's still only barely halfway there. We're supposed to go to 120. And 120, I mean healthy, strong, vibrant. The reason that these people are rounding over like that bone's coming down on the nerve, they're opening up that nerve on the back so their body can be comfortable. So this means long-term dehydration, long-term lack of motion, long-term poisoning of the body with acidic blood. So this is not your future. It's not your future. The problem is you're programmed. Your brain is programmed. I mean, we recently found our TV controller. I'm sorry. Has anyone ever had that problem, or is it just me? Okay, we have a video thing where we watch nothing but videos, and we've been watching that for a year. So I'm recently watching regular commercial TV. Oh my gosh. Do you know, I mean, 46% of commercials are for pharmaceutical products. So you're being taught, just like I've been taught the last week, this is my end result. I mean, I'm going to rot and be degenerated by the time I'm 70 and 80. That's ridiculous. This is what my knowledge base is. So we have to look at this. There's cells that live on bones called osteoblasts. They lay down new bone. There's cells called osteoclasts that tear up new bone. So we need this process. Do you know how old my skin is? Don't say 52 years old. Do you know how my skin is? It's 28 days old. Okay, and in fact, the reason it looks so good is because old skin flakes off. Sorry about that. Old skin flakes off. Okay, you can't really see it, but it's always being replaced. If my skin didn't replace, it'd look like I'd have psoriasis or something. There'd be scaling and flaking all over the place because the skin's trying to get up. Well, the same thing with bone. The bone tissue is built up, and the old bone tissue is torn down. So you need this. And also, the bone, it's kind of like, it does so many things. If you've ever cooked an animal before, like cook a chicken or a rib or something, the bone's very, very brittle. That's not how it is in human beings. Human beings' bones are very, very flexible. In fact, they're tremendous flexibility and strength. And they also produce red blood cells, so there's a great function with them. Now, this is interesting. This type of posture, and this is out of the Journal of Spine, causes demyelination of the nerves. This means if you see someone in this body posture, their nerves are starting to break down. Demyelination of the nerve is called multiple sclerosis. Do you know what the cause of that is? We got a choice, ignorant or evil, because the official cause is we don't know. Okay, I'm going to show you what the cause of it is. Now, these are officially the causes of osteoporosis, poor bone health. Now, I don't want you to read this because it's a lie, okay? Because I don't want you to think that it causes it. I want you to look at the mechanisms behind some of these conditions and why they would cause a thinning of the bone and how you can reverse that. Okay, does that make more sense? Okay, smoking, we know that that's a risk. Okay, what does smoking do? It acidifies the blood and creates free radicals. So your body, in its infinite wisdom, in order to balance the pH, will go to the bone bank and withdraw calcium. Do you remember back in high school what's calcium look like? Big C, little a with a plus sign? Okay, that means it's a positive ion. It means the positive ions flood into the blood, okay, it balances out the acid, okay, alkalinizes the system, takes care of free radicals, and the body can be healthy. So the more and more free radicals and the more toxins in your system, the more calcium is going to go in there and start to be drawn out. And then we look at this, older than 65. That is not a risk factor in other countries. Why is it an American? I don't know. Maybe we need to vote better. We do, because a lot of the products that we have and a lot of the advices that you're given by your doctor, particularly if you have medical care and you're over 65, is incorrect. It's absolutely incorrect. Now, if you understand, have you ever seen the commercial, what's better for you? Rolaids, Tums with calcium or Rolaids with aluminum salt. Your body needs calcium. Have you heard that? Now I've actually had patients come in and they say, yeah, my doctor prescribed Tums because it's made with calcium. Well, the human body doesn't work that way. Okay, you've got a mouth here. The esophagus comes down, there's a stomach here, and the inside of the stomach there's very acidic contents. And has the contents, and this goes into the carrot, the spinach, the squid, the wild rice, whatever you're going to eat, okay, gets in that stomach, it breaks it down into protein, fats, and carbohydrates, and then it gets into an area called the duodenum. Now in the duodenum, this is very acidic. This is where calcium and iron are absorbed. So, and then as it gets less and less acidic, you get the C vitamins, you get the B vitamins, okay, all absorbed in the intestinal tract. So now you need acid in order to absorb calcium. If you're over 40, you produce less acid. So if you're over 40, typically you have to either take in digestive enzymes, you have to increase the acid in your stomach somehow. You can start vegetable juicing to break down the food products. You have to masticate better, because when you're over 65, do you have good dental health or generally poor dental health if you're living in this country? Poor dental health. So if you have poor dental health, you can't masticate. You can't break down the food products. So when you look at this, this is not a risk factor. This is a common byproduct of a poor lifestyle. Okay, now then you look at it, well, let's look at the diseases. Hyperthyroidism. This means that your thyroid isn't functioning correctly. So what do they typically give you if you have a thyroid that's not functioning correctly? Drugs to slow your metabolism. Metabolism, that has to do with bone health. That means the metabolism of the bone, where its cells are laid down to build up bone and torn down. If that process isn't going on correctly, you're going to have thinning of the bones. Lung disease. If you have lung disease, do me a favor, just take a deep breath in, blow it out. Did you see that? Did you see the carbon dioxide? Did you see the little C with the little O coming out there? Okay. Okay. Well, I don't know. I got these glasses back in when I was a teenager. Okay. No. What breathing does is you lose acid. Carbon dioxide's an acid. So just breathing deep, you're alkalinizing your system. You're getting rid of acid. Oh, what does calcium do? That takes an acid body and moves it into towards alkaline? Okay, does that make sense? So if you're not breathing deep, okay, if you have a sedentary lifestyle, if you have chronic lung disease, your body is acid, your blood is acidic. So that means that your body is going to go to the bone bank and withdraw more calcium. So does this mean sedentary lifestyles, not breathing deep, will also cause osteoporosis? Yes or yes? So it's not the lung disease that causes it, it's the lung disease that causes your body to become acidic, and then in order to balance out that acid, it goes to the bone bank. Then we go down, cancer. Why not? Half of the population has it. How do we treat cancer today? Incredibly poisonous stuff. Okay, chemotherapy, that has never been shown effective in over 50 years. Well, it's actually effective for different types of cancer. 4%. It's used 96% of the time. Putting toxic chemicals in the blood, do you think that makes you more acidic? Yes or yes? Okay, good. Good. Inflammatory bowel disease. Okay, now how do you treat inflammatory bowel disease in this country? You're going to get a pain reliever, which is an antacid, which causes osteoporosis. You're going to get steroids, which cause osteoporosis. The bowel's going to be inflamed, so you can't really absorb the nutrients in there because it's not functioning correctly. So that's going to cause osteoporosis. Now, inflammatory bowel disease, when we talk about the digestive tract, and we're going to talk about this clearly, Crohn's disease, okay, all sorts of digestive disorders are actually curable within about 30 days. If you look on the WebMD, they're incurable. You're going to have them forever. So, I don't know, ignorant or evil, okay, I actually just think it's ignorant, okay, that inflammatory bowel disease is still around. Kidney or renal disease, obviously, those are blood filters. Now, any drug that you put in your body has to go through the kidneys. So anything is going to damage the kidneys. If it's going to be preserved products, pasteurized dairy, if it's going to be all the toxic chemicals you're exposed to are going to damage the kidneys. Have you heard of an aspirin a day for a healthy heart? Okay, it's totally ineffective. It's never been shown to help the heart. It's the leading cause of kidney disease. When I was a kid, I could drive down the road. I don't ever remember seeing a dialysis center. I passed 3 of them on the way up from San Pedro. Do you see dialysis centers now all the time? Yeah, aspirin, leading cause of kidney disease. Okay, it's not being 65. It says older than 65 where? In America. Because of our health care. It's not health care, it's disease management. So then, this is something I had to give you. Now, this is just a fun read. Okay, you're just going to enjoy this. Because this is pretty much, if I went back to the 1100s and I talked to the people in authority and I said, guys, you're actually in the dark ages, okay, the world is not flat, it's round, would they accept this or would they think I'm crazy? Okay, right now we're in the dark ages. Okay, I'm going to try and shed a little bit light on the ignorance of science now. They're trying to categorize stuff. So what they do is they're trying to do a test on everybody and have the same results. And what they do is they do a bone densimeter. And this kind of shows you somewhat a little bit, maybe sort of, okay, how dense and thick bones are. It's not real accurate. And what they did is they took a bone density on some people that generally don't have a lot of fractures. And we're going to call them normal. Okay? And then we're going to do a bone densimeter on some people that tend to have a lot of fractures. And we're going to call them Abby something. Abby normal. I'm sorry, anybody ever see Young Frankenstein or is it just me? Okay, we're going to call him Abby normal. Okay? Or let's call it osteoporosis. Okay, that sounds good to me too. Okay, the problem is you got healthy bones and you got sick bones. There's an area in the middle that we're not quite sure of. Okay, we can call it bone deficiency syndrome. Okay, but they had to come up with something, and it happened in 1992 in Rome. They just came up with a term, and this is just for researchers. It wasn't meant to be a risk factor. It's not meant to be a disease. Okay, but now we're talking millions of people are diagnosed with osteopenia. What does that mean? It means nothing. It's a ridiculous thing that never came invented. I mean, it was just invented. Now this, we realize that people, as they age, genetic background has a difference. I mean, the heaviest, most dense bone human being on the planet is an African male. The lightest bone density human on the planet is a Northern European female. So is that genetics, or is that just how the world lays out? It just is. It's just genetics. So we can't lump everybody into the same category. Now, when we look at this, okay, do you remember Pinocchio? Okay, you got to know this because you've been sold a bill of goods that doesn't exist. I mean, obviously, the type of care that you're having that's called health care, which it's not, is destroying your bones. The type of food that you're exposed to is destroying your bones. Your lifestyle choices that they're telling you that's okay to do is destroying your bones. Okay, but this is where it started. In 1995, See, we used to prescribe hormone therapy. Okay, and this was going back in 1970s. Now, hormones, it was going to make your bones strong, it was going to prevent cancer, and it's going to prevent heart disease. Okay, and this was passed out in the 70s as a bill of goods. No science or research behind it. It goes on for about 20 years, 25 years, and guess what we found out? It didn't do anything for bones, it actually caused cancer, and it weakened the heart. Okay, so we know that hormone replacement therapy is stupid. Okay, some doctors are still doing it, but you know, you got the choice, ignorant or evil. Now Merrick came up with Fosamax, and this is brilliant. This is a brilliant marketing drug. Wait, I said a brilliant marketing drug, didn't I? Okay, good. I didn't misspeak. Okay, so you got a chemical. And what it does is it limits the action. Remember, on the bones, you got cells that lay down bone, cells that tear it up. Do you need that process? Yes or yes? Well, this thing stopped that process. So what it did on the machines, when we read it, it would actually appear that the bones were bigger. So it doesn't matter whether they're stronger or not. If you took this drug, it started to look better on the machine. Yeah, I'm sure that makes sense. Now, did I say it made the bone stronger? No. Did I say it made you healthier? Did I say it decreased the risk of fractures or damage? Did I say it made the blood more alkaline? No. Oh, wait a second. Oh my gosh, we might have a problem here. I don't want to look too deep into this, but if the body, if it's exposed to acid, if you have a toxic environment, your body continually goes to the bone bank to draw out calcium in order to regulate the blood. So does this mean that this drug may cause the body to be more acidic? If the body's more acidic, does that also mean increased cancer rates? Oh my gosh, that might be bad. Well, let's look further into this. Okay, so now what they had to do, they had a tough time selling this. We got this chemical. Okay, let's say we're Merrick now. We have no ethics, no morals, but we're into profit. We got this chemical, we want to sell it to people. In all of America, there's only 200 bone densimeters. And they're really good. They check the whole body. So they come up with an idea. We're going to create an institute. We're going to call it the Bone Measurement Institute. We're going to call it a nonprofit organization. And luckily, this was one of the first ones that I could see. You're going to see a lot of these organizations started by chemical companies, and they're called nonprofits in order to promote a product. So this Bone Measurement Institute, it was established by Merrick. It had one member, it had no office. It was actually the desktop of this one guy. Okay, and what he did was he started to buy up these small, cheaper densimeters that only check the wrist, they checked the elbows, and they checked a little bit of the hip, not much. The wrist, elbows, and I think ankles. I mean, it wasn't really accurate. So their sequence is, I mean, normally when we're making a product, like let's say Edison, he saw the guy lighting the gas lamps, he said, I'll bet I can do something better. He built a product to fill a need. Okay, it's called an electric light. Okay, the guy originally, saw his buddy dragging a cart on the ground. He said, I got an idea. I'm going to make something round to go underneath that cart. I'm going to call it a wheel. Okay, so you saw a need and filled it. This is totally different, and this is what you're exposed to every day in our American system. First, you create a chemical. You see how it reacts in a body, and then you start to advertise. You got to patent the chemical so you can get it, and then you advertise. You got to create the need. Like, have you ever heard of antidepressants? You've heard of antidepressants? You have? You have? Well, when you look at the clinical pharmacology of it, it says mechanism of action is unknown. We actually don't know how this chemical works, but in the first 3 months, about 40% of the time, it tends to help short-term with depression. The side effect is suicide. So what you got to, I'm sorry, that's not what it says on the advertisements. They say, if you're sad, if you're inside, take this and you could run through the flower fields. No, I saw the commercial. Okay, it works that way. So this is what you're exposed to. Now this is Caleb Alexander. He's a pharmacoepidemiologist at the University of Chicago. He says one of the ways that chemical companies profit is they take mild symptoms and they create a disease. Oh my gosh, that goes into osteopenia, to osteoporosis. No one's ever talking about why it's there. No one's ever talking about the solution. So these bone densimeters that Merrick, again, bought all the companies that produced it, and they sold it. They sold it. They would even give them away for free to doctors. They'd say, look, I'm going to give you this bone densimeter. It's going to generate income. And then they got even smarter because they got the FDA to approve it. The Fraud and Deception Association, I don't know if money changed hands, but they approved something that doesn't really work. Then this is just brilliant. They go in and they made the campaign contribution so Medicare benefits would cover it. Now I know what you're thinking, Medicare is going to cover it, but it doesn't really work well. I mean, the science is not there. But in 1997, the Medicare Act was passed, Bone Mass Medication Act. So this means that now every senior in America can have this machine that doesn't really work to tell you that you're at risk of a disease that's from lifestyle or toxic exposure, to give you a drug that you absolutely don't need. Okay? It's just a little bit of history. Luckily, it's 2020. So we had to come up with a diagnosis. Now, if you look at the actual facts, in 1994, 77,000 people were diagnosed with osteoporosis, and they had their scans. Now, just 5 years later, 1.5 million. So we went from 77,000 to 1.5 million in 5 years. Does that sound like it's an epidemic? No, it's an epidemic of diagnoses, okay? It doesn't really, it's not there, okay? It doesn't exist. I mean, people are not getting healthier, we're actually getting way sicker. Now, 2010, we're up to 34 million. So if we actually had this many people in 1994, and now, you know, we're talking just 18 years later, 34 million, does it seem like an epidemic that this should be all over the news? Oh my goodness, why are all our bodies breaking down? Or are we just changing your perception of health to make you think that this is going to be your body posture, that your bones are breaking down? Okay, so we have to look at the same thing. First off, Fosamax. This is the #1 drug, okay, that was first came up with, but they're pretty much all biphosphate drugs. That's what they do. Long-term use of the osteoporosis drug known as biphosphates can actually weaken bones by impairing healing, leading to fractures. I'm sorry. Long-term use of this drug designed to strengthen bones, what does it do? It weakens bones. But don't worry about that. You showed denser on the densimeters that we gave to the doctor. So he may say that you know, you may have broken your bone, but by gosh, it showed a better reading. Okay, now the efficacy, and this is out of the actual package listing of Fosamax, hasn't been established if you use it over 2 years. We don't know if it's appropriate for you. Now, if you ever wanted, you know, if you like hanging out with attorneys, and I actually do, some of them are really cool, okay, but there's lawsuits all over the place now. And these are spontaneous fractures. Like, have you ever heard of somebody falling and breaking their hip? That's not what usually happens. What usually happens is the hip breaks and then you fall down. Yeah. There's spontaneous fractures now. They're called my leg. I mean, this is crazy. I was reading one thing of a woman wading in water. A wave hit her and broke her leg. Okay, was she taking osteoporosis medications? Yes, she was. And she showed okay on the bone densimeter. It's foolishness, okay? We have to take it back. We have to take this back. I mean, luckily there's tons of lawsuits out there, so if you want to be part of one, it's really easy. It is. What's wild is the lawsuits are out there. America's still selling this stuff. Boniva. I mean, I'd love Sally Fields, but this is like ridiculous. I hope she's getting paid a lot. Women who take Fosamax are 125 times more likely to suffer a fracture. And this isn't just bag on Fosamax, let's bag on them all. Okay, Boniva, you know, Avendia, I mean, all the crazy ones that they have for the bone thinning. 125 times more likely? That's like an antidepressant causing suicide. Oh wait, they do have that warning on there. Okay, well anyway, when you look at this, femur fractures, inflammation of the bone, osteonecrosis, this means the bone starts to die. Severe bone pain. All of these from the Fosamax. Now this is just what's on the studies. If you look at it, think about it. Remember, you've got this bone bank. What does the body do to tear down the bone and put it up? It does it to alkalinize the system. So does this mean that cancer rates are going to increase? Are cancer rates increasing right now? Yes. Do you think this is one of the causes of it? Yes or yes? It's absolute foolishness to do anything other than this. We have to revert back to how the human body works. You break down and you build up. You break down your skin, you build up your skin. You break down your bones, you build up your bones. Your spleen destroys 1 million red blood cells a day. And your long bones build 1 million red blood cells every day. So this tear down, this anabolism, catabolism, where you break up and tear down everything, that's everything. So anything you do to your system that helps the build up faster than break down, that's good. If it breaks down faster than you build up, you're going to die early. Okay? Enough said? No, I'm going to tell you the secrets. Okay. Okay, so this means every medication slows or stops the metabolic process. So does this mean every medication will cause your body to break down faster than builds up? Yes or yes? Yeah, this means all non-steroidal anti-inflammatories. This means Advil, Tylenol, Motrin, God, I forget some of the names of them because we don't use them. This means every blood pressure medication. Every medication that slows or stops the metabolic process will lead to acidifying the body and break it down early. Every processed food is going to acidify the body and break it down earlier. Every pasteurized dairy product is going to acidify the body and break it down earlier. Everything. If any doctor understands this. I mean, this blew me away. What do they do for pain? Okay, and this, I've seen so many people with epidurals. If you knew that infections, this is the 4th largest, you take AIDS, breast cancer, and auto accidents combined, infections from hospital kill more people. Kill over 200 people a day. There's a jumbo jet crashing every day, and it's from infections in hospital. Why? Because we're weakening the immune system. This has never happened. This is what destroys bones, pasteurized dairy. And I mean pasteurized dairy. Now, is our government supporting pasteurized dairy? Yeah. Absolutely. They're trying to outlaw raw dairy. Okay, but they were supporting pasteurized dairy because the people that run those massive factory farms do campaign contributions and they fund it. I just got an email from this little, I think he's in 4th grade, he's a 9-year-old autistic kid, and he went up to the top 4 contenders for president, and he asked them, he says, and he read from a little prepared statement, and you got to give this kid courage. I mean, it was really, really rocked. And he read it to each person that's running there, Ron Paul and, you know, the other guys, okay, and the girl. Okay, he read it to all of them, and it was a prayer. Okay, I am a Ron Paul fan, but, you know, he read it to all of them, okay, but none of them gave a direct answer. He says, what are you going to do now that autism is epidemic? You know, you're losing the #1 resource, which is children in America. Every one of the candidates says, well, it has to do with funding. Okay, we need to find we're going to do more work in brain research. No, not one of the candidates says, my gosh, you're right, it's epidemic proportion. We got to find the cause. We're obviously doing something that's causing you kids harm. This is the same thing. Osteoporosis. It doesn't exist in Aboriginal cultures. It's absolutely rampant in our things. We have to find out what we're doing wrong. I mean, this is it. This is approved food products. Okay? This acidifies the blood, it thins the bones. Meat products, soda has phosphoric acid. I had this one kid, 23 years old, he's a mixed martial arts expert. He drank a 6-pack of soda every day. He loved the rush. Okay, phosphoric acid. He comes in with a snapped arm. Okay, I mean, when I say snapped, I mean, okay, like the elbow doesn't bend here. Okay, he comes in, ow, and I said, I'll bet you broke your arm. He said, you know, I took an x-ray, but, you know, 23-year-old guys don't break their arms. They do if they drink soda all the time. So is soda outlawed for kids? It should be. Do we sell it in schools? Yeah. So this is inappropriate. It's inconsistent. This is ideal. We're jogging at 80. We're hiking. The oldest person to scale Mount Fuji was 93 years old. She took up mountaineering at 87. I know. I don't know what she was doing before that, but she just said, I want to climb. So this is our future. Your body will not break down. Your body is continually building up. If you've been diagnosed with thinning of the bones, know that it's an ignorant process. Do everything you can to build up your system. You can't ask your doctor if it's right for you. This is the insanity. I mean, we're medicating symptoms. Every medication, does it help the body rebuild, or does it slow the body's function down? Every medication slows or stops a metabolic process. Every medication. Does this mean every medication? I mean every medication. Now this is vital, vitamin D. Now, if you look at this, a lot of medical doctors will say vitamin D is dangerous, it's a fat-soluble vitamin, you can build up toxic levels. Do you realize that there has never been one death from vitamin D? Never one. Okay, I'm talking in all the records that I've ever seen, never one death from vitamin D. Wow. There was a few deaths from vitamin A. Okay, do you know when it happened? No? Nobody knows? Am I the only guy that reads like this? Okay, well, let me tell you. The explorers, they were up in going for the North Pole, and the Eskimos told the white explorers, don't eat the liver of a polar bear. And of course, we're not going to listen to the smart Aborigines. We decided to do it ourselves. They ate the liver of the polar bear, and they died from vitamin A toxicity. Turns out the polar bear stores massive amounts. We're talking about tens of thousands of units of vitamin A in their liver, and it was too much, and they killed some of the explorers. So that's the only death from any vitamin I could ever see. So, I mean, if you're in the northern country and somebody gives you advice to don't eat the liver of a polar bear, follow it. Aside from that, you can take vitamin D. Your skin builds 20,000 units a day. You require it. Why do you think northern countries have thinner bone density than Africa's? Higher vitamin D rates. That's it. Why do breast cancer is unknown. Multiple sclerosis is unknown in those countries. When you start looking at this, that sunlight is vital. And why? One of the reasons is from vitamin D. You need at least 3,000 units for every 100 pounds of human. That means a human like me, I need at least 5,000 to 10,000 units a day. Okay, so this is absolutely perfect. Now, we don't have a cold or flu season, we have a vitamin D deficiency season, so that's huge. Exercise. This means when I got my patient in, he came in on New Year's Day, called me up crying. I gave him an exercise, 2 swollen discs. The guy could barely walk. He's in there on a walker. You know the exercise I gave him? Sit in a chair and turn as far as you can one side, as far as you can the other side. Does this seem like a tough exercise? Well, it is if you have 2 swollen discs. Okay, but what's cool is, what does that do? Slight bit of motion, you use the muscles, it strains the bones, it's going to fill up and hydrate those discs with fluid, and sure enough, today he walked in with no walker. But any kind of exercise is going to be vital. What days do you need to exercise? Every day. Every day. If you want strong bones every day, every day. If you want weak bones, put one arm in a cast. Within 6 weeks, you're going to have osteoporosis. Okay, it's going to be thinning of the bone. Detox. This means don't eat anything that's in a package, nothing that's preserved, because it has no enzymes, it's dead, you can't utilize it. Anything that you eat that's not considered food, that will stay on the shelf for a long time, it will acidify your blood, thin your bones. Everything. Everything. I'm talking to every bread product, everything. So corporate food, and now genetically, we're not even talking genetically modified food, but anything that's in a package that has preservatives, that has stuff you can't pronounce, will cause thinning of the bones. You need direct sunlight, you need vitamin D. And these are the keys, and they're all on this sheet. You need regular exercise, it's that simple. You need not just calcium, but dark green leafy vegetables is the best source. If you say, should I take a calcium supplement or should I take a glass of vegetable juice a day? You want to know?
How about both?
Vegetable juice is better. Save your money. You don't need it. Save your money, get the vegetable juice. Because not only does that pre-digest it, it also alkalinizes the system, help you utilize it, and there's bioflavonoids, there's phytonutrients, there's magic in that juice. There's magic in that juice. And if you're over 40, the reason that your bones start to thin is because you're not producing enough acid, because you're not breaking it down, because you're not taking appropriate enzymes. So you need to supplement. You need to supplement with appropriate enzymes. Now this is magic here. Broccoli, fresh fruit, fresh vegetables. And it's really that simple. You've been fed a bill of goods. Okay, that's not true. This right here, this is the perfect example. Now she's standing up straight. Is her spine straight or is it bent off to the side? Horribly off to the side. You know, a couple of accidents, but nothing really major. She walked away, she felt fine. Okay, gosh, if I hear that again. 65 years old, she's got indigestion. So what pill did they give her? An antacid, excellent, good. So she's 65, they give her something to decrease the acid in her stomach even further. So that means she's going to be calcium deficient and iron deficient. So she has low energy and she's starting to thin bones. Now she has pain. So what do they give her? They give her a pain reliever. Okay, that also causes osteoporosis. Now, since she's hurting, she's sore, she's low energy, is she happy or sad? Antidepressant. So she's taken 3 bones that cause thinning of the bones. And she comes in and you know what she says? Yeah, he wants to put me on Fosamax. Okay, he wants to give you a 125% increased risk of hip fracture. For what reason? Ignorant or evil? Your choice. What do you think it is? I still gotta think they're just ignorant. I really do. They're flat earthers. They're absolutely convinced there's sea monsters on the other side of the world, and they're not. I mean, she comes in here within 30 days she's drug free. Within 90 days she's pain free. She's off every drug. Her bones are strong and healthy, and now she's jogging 5Ks. I think she walks half of it, but you know, at least she's doing 5Ks. Okay. Can you see? Because what we're doing is we're respecting, it's a kilometer. Okay, it's about 3 miles. It's little races and stuff. It's fun stuff. Okay, so I mean, she goes in there and we approach the body with respect and honor. Her 65-year-old memories are in a body that's only about 1.5 years old. Okay, if skin's wrinkling, it means that you're not getting enough protein. Your body can't break it down. You're not building your system fast enough. I mean, this here, the most frustrating thing, this is an actual fake disc in the spine. The most frustrating thing, when you look at this spine here, 85% of all back surgeries have to be repeated. They fail. There's actually a billing code I got that's called failed back surgery syndrome. Why? Because 85% of the time they do surgery, they have to go in there again. No, they don't put zippers. Okay, they just go in there again. Now the frustrating part, she had the surgery and still had pain. Why? Because they were working on the wrong place. So we go in there and we worked on her again and the pain went away. Doesn't that make more sense to approach the body intelligently, like they're given symptoms for a reason? Yes or yes? I mean, this is absolutely what your body requires. You need to get checked for subluxation. Why? Because that's healthy nerve supply and healthy motion. Without correct motion, your body breaks down. I can't make it more simple. You need exercise daily to strengthen the bones, to strain the bones. Remember those 75-year-old guys? 23 more years, baby, I'm there. I don't think I'll be on the podium, but I'm going to be there. I'm going to join them, okay? Okay, proper nutrition. This means if man makes it, don't eat it. You have to be careful. Anything you put in your mouth is going to go through your liver. It's going to go through your intestines. It has to be honored. Do you realize back in the old days, we would pray over food because we realized that the nutrition is a spiritual aspect. Anything you eat becomes part of your spirit. Okay, doesn't that give you goosebumps? You're not going to do that at McDonald's. Okay, sufficient rest. We're going to talk about this in a couple of weeks, how to get deep sleep every night. Okay, and prayer and meditation. We talked about that last week. Prayer and meditation in every study stimulates cell growth. It stimulates cell growth. It helps detox your body. Okay, I mean, right now it's hard to explain this because we're in the dark ages, but we are spiritual beings, okay? And this is actually just as important as the nutrition. It's just as important as the exercise. It's just as important as getting checked for subluxations. You can't say a hierarchy. Well, I do that and that, but I don't do the other. Sorry. No, you don't have a choice. You need to do this. And this, I mean, New Year's special, it's kind of ridiculous. It was $11 for 2011. Guess what it is for 2012?
12.
I know, just for this month. Guess what it is next year? It's 13. Oh my gosh, you looked at my plan. Okay, yeah. But we do this because it's time to make a choice. You know, I mean, to get $300 to get your nervous system checked might be challenging. This way, $12, you get x-rays, exam, physical, drug search. If you're taking medications, I can tell you which ones are necessary, which ones are foolish. I'll give you the paperwork so you can give it to the guy that's passing out the drugs. Okay, we're not going to call them healthcare professionals anymore because they're not. Particularly if they're passing out Fosamax. They're either what? Ignorant or evil, okay? And you can, you know, refer them. This is recorded. Okay, I'll give them my card. I'll talk to them. Okay, exam. If I feel you need x-rays, you're going to get a copy of the x-rays. Okay, and if I see nerve pressure, you're actually going to get an adjustment. And that's going to be ideal. But I got to tell you, just being here shows, I mean, it takes effort to get, at the end of the day, to come here to learn about this stuff. So you guys are the cutting edge. So thank you very much. You guys rock.